a scion of many worlds. He had to be here for this one. This one was the last one. The final discovery deep below. The stasis field had failed just enough for the life signs to fade, but it kept the rest fresh enough. A miracle was needed to help this man, and with the chamber filled with sensory equipment of all kind and a full house in the observation theater, no one was going to miss anything. First thing first is to slice away the top of the capsule, disengaging the stasis energy generation and revealing the still corpse inside. A touch of axiom and the gray energy fades. Life signs negative. He is confirmed dead, but perfectly preserved. The body is in acceptable condition. He starts drawing from the other direction, and the sensation fills his being. He can hear the numerous sensors around him going absolutely insane as they intake enormous amounts of data. He kneels down over the pod, bows his head, and reaches down with his antenna. He should say something. This is important. Even if it's going to be studied, this is more personal, and so very solemn isn't the right word, but he really doesn't want to call it sacred. No being that has to improvise bullshit and bluff as much as he does should ever be called a god. Divinity and certainty go hand in hand, and he has no idea if this is going to make things better or worse. All right, you've left, but are you willing to come back? Do you want more from this side? He asks as he uses the body as a beacon, searching, seeking into the other direction. As he focuses on the task, time seems to bleed away. Even sensing into that place that is always so close can distort one's perception. There isn't time there. There isn't anything that a person uses to anchor their experiences there, at least not in the place between the places within. A place where song and cheer echo, a party without end, another place, warmth, fire and heat, but not burning, a paradise for those whom call fire their friend. He mutters out loud as he sorts out the information. The sensation of his own speech and the sound it makes anchors him further into the here and now. This is very different from when he drew back the forgotten. They were alive but away. This is dead and gone. The trick is finding where he went. An endless sky of stars for a restful sleep, a great sweet scent, a place of feasting where hunger is both endless and impotent. Is he actually listing out afterlives? Guinevere asks, unaware that by channeling these energies, his everything is enhanced immensely. I am. It helps me focus. Ah, a familiar realm of knowledge. A library without end, no hunger, no exhaustion, but the most comfortable seats and all you would ever want to know and more. He cannot keep the longing out of his voice. He knows there is a mountain of knowledge he left behind there. It's so close, but so far. But that knowledge stays on the other side. He can't bring it here. Moving on. There is a realm full of beasts, wild but friendly, not tame but... there we are. So he likes animals? It's time to come home. The path is open. The door portal awaits. There is more life to live. The beasts will wait. They will not forget you. They will be there when you go back. But there is more here. Tragedy and triumph, struggle and success. Life in all its glory and gloom. Come home. He commands and he feels the awareness flitter. It pushes up against him and it feels him. He looks up and draws away his antenna and holds up his claws as if to shake hands while kneeling. I can only offer my claw for you to take. You must take it if you are to return. The choice is yours. I will not rob you of your justly earned paradise. There is hesitation on the other end, a sense of trepidation. Then suddenly there is a transparent hand grasping onto his left claw, and he guides it closer, revealing an indistinct but clearly bipedal and male form made of the faintest wisps of energy. He picks up the spirit of the dead and gently guides it to the body. There's going to be a pinch, a moment of discomfort, but it will pass. He then lowers his right claw to the chest of the corpse and begins channeling both Axiom and the energies from the other direction. Time seems to warp and twist, and the translucent spirit is drawn into the body. Then it gasps. For the second time on Lacron, a dead man opens his eyes. A true resurrection. Archeon Bucket sits up all at once as he sucks in as much air as possible to reinflate his lungs as he feels all over himself. I forgot what pain was. It lets you know you're still alive. Can you stand? Emmanuel asks him, and he turns to look up at the gigantic Urthani. Yes, mighty one, I can, Archeon says with a tone full of sheer awe. None of that, please, Emmanuel states. It's really hard for you to deny being divine when you routinely perform literal miracles, Horus shouts from the observation theater. I'm a scientist. These events are being studied so they can be mass-produced. You think that's going to stop it? Horus demands. His voice is filled with laughter. Do not make me turn this into equivalent exchange. I can still take a life to restore one. Bring it on, Fuzzball. You haven't beaten me in a straight fight yet. Boys, calm down. Take the macho posturing outside of the hospital if you have to, but none of that within 10 meters of any operating theater. Actually make it 15. You two live at large. Yes, we do. Now, is there anything else? I need to get drunk or something. Brushing up against the afterlife like that. Emmanuel trails off as his gaze wanders into the far distance. You can't get that close without wanting it. But it's like you said, it's still there, Archeon says. Yes, but it will be even harder to come back a second time. Maybe too hard. Can you remember what it was like on the other side? The sheer amount of beasts and all their wondrous shapes and behaviors, it was so beautiful. Mine was a paradise of knowledge, the scholar's heaven. To leave it, I had to leave behind the knowledge I gained, like you had to leave behind the beast you tamed. It's still there waiting for me to come back, just like your friends are for you. But that, you can't remember any of it, can you? Archeon asks. No, the prize for you was unending beasts to tame, so they stay on the other side. It was endless knowledge for me, so it all stays on the other side. Archeon begins even as the door to the operation room opens and Horus walks in smoothly and hooks his arm around Emmanuel's neck. Sorry, but this man needs a mixed drink, stat, he proclaims, and then drags the unresisting Emmanuel out of the room entirely. All right, we've got a full bottle of absinthe for kick, 2 strawberry rums for flavor, and a 2-liter bottle of Sprite to round up the fluids, Horus says as he levitates all 4 bottles up above the massive vase he's pouring it all into. He then slaps all 4 bottles and sends them spinning to create internal whirlpools in all 3 but the Sprite, which he then stabs with his knife and it simply empties out into the vase. There we go. But that's just the first step, Horus says with a huge smile. The big thing about barkeeping is that it's only about 1 part in 3 about the drink. The atmosphere and the show you put on are the other 2. We have a full pound of strawberries and another of sliced bananas to mix in too. The fruit slides into the drink and he gives it a stir. But it's missing a little something. Oh, that's right. Some kiwi in these. Candy? Emmanuel asks. It makes it dandy, Horus replies as he uses a meat mallet to crush the hard fruit candies and then adds the powder and sliced kiwi to the mixture. Stir with some sorcerous silliness and there you have it. A punch with enough punch to knock a megamoth for a loop-the-loop. The Brotha Beater. Cheers, Emmanuel says as he grabs the massive vase and then extends his proboscis into the drink before flinching back. Woo, this is good. Oh, come on, brother. Have some faith in me. I'm your brother. I'm contractually obligated to bust your balls at every and all opportunities. Emmanuel teases. So saith the great and mighty moth. Fuck you. Whose witticisms and wordplay are beyond all others, Horus continues. That's enough of that. He who pierces the veil between the living and dead. It's time to move on. Conqueror and savior. Stop, Emmanuel states. All right, Horus states. My lord and savior. He then catches the alien tongue/spear/straw that his brother calls a proboscis and grins at him. You know, the reflex to stick your tongue out at people needs to be toned down when your tongue is this level of deadly. Emmanuel gives a sigh of frustration as he withdraws his proboscis and then sticks it into the mixed drink. He rocks back a little at the sheer flavor and alcohol content but lets out a contented hum at it. It's much more intense through the proboscis than it is through a human mouth, and it hits him all the faster. In just a minute, he's leaning against the counter as the yearning fades away, leaving him with, "It's going to end so badly," Emmanuel states. Horus leads him on more than answers. Murphy's Law, karma, whatever you look at it. I've been rolling straight sevens for so long that when this house of cards crumbles, it's going to take entire worlds with it. Probably. You afraid? Horus asks. I don't like the idea of people getting hurt because of my screw-ups. And with how much they think of me, just realizing that I'm not some invincible god will cause damage at this rate. You really think it's that bad? How can it not be? No matter what I say, it's my actions that count, and I've gone down the Messiah checklist like it owes me money and then went back to add a few more on. If I saw someone pull the shit I did, I'd think they were either a god or had one in their corner. So the real problem isn't the faith. It's what happens when the inevitable fuck-up shows up and brings it all crashing down. I don't want a jihad in my name, Emmanuel states. A fair concern, but just telling them you're no god isn't going to cut it, especially as they're a bunch of degraded clones with serious brain drain and you're the super soldier from beyond the stars that's fixing everything. Yeah. Mother is the name for God on the lips and hearts of all children, Horus quotes, and Emmanuel looks up to give him a glare. The booze has hit me. I can't place the quote. It's from the crow, Horus says, and Emmanuel nods as he turns over the quote in his head. Not sure it really fits the situation. Do children go off on a big rampage when they learn that their parents don't have all the answers? That mommy and daddy aren't gods? No. Oh, that's where you're going with this, Emmanuel states. Make it more parental than priestly and the inevitable letdown becomes a lot easier. Which means you need to goof off a bit more. Let them see you relax and play. Easier said than done with 50,000 things that need to be done at any one moment. Even with delegation every 5 minutes, something needs to be done, and it turns into another big pedestal that has me larger than life as much metaphorically as physically. Maybe even more so. We just need our first Titan recruit from Lacran, and a lot of the mysticism around you will die off. Let's hope, Emmanuel says before suddenly rubbing his face and head with his claws and letting out a borderline motorboating sound that's accompanied by the distinct earthany trill. He then channels Axiom into himself and stands up straight, sober and collected again. That's all the time I've got for self-pity. I've got more to do. Horus grabs him by the wing and drags him back into the room to force the fluffy man into his seat again. No. You're taking a break and I will do terrible, terrible things to enforce it.